I have used contracts from the very beginning, not so much because they're some kind of enforceable document, but because they're a roadmap of what we want and what we expect them to deliver. So it helps both sides. It helps us and it helps them understand just the basic terms of the agreement. And in every case, so in every bean purchase that I've ever made, except maybe two, for the last 16 years, have included terms in the payment. So what that means is we are paying farmers well in advance of their relinquishment of the custody of those cocoa beans at port, and certainly well in advance of us receiving them on a container in the United States. What this essentially does is help those farmers finance their harvesting operations or post-harvest operations at what you might just consider a 0% interest loan. So we're just wiring that money as a part of our terms agreement with them, so that they have access to that capital and can use it however they see fit. We're not governing how they use that money, have no management say so over what they do with that money, and we just expect that they're going to be using it to accomplish the goals of the contract that we have between us. And it's turned out to be really helpful to the farmers. And one of the questions that comes up is, and especially, I think about this as a lawyer, and that is, there's a lot of risk. And so what can be done to mitigate risk? And there, honestly, other than the development of the relationship, which is huge, there's not a lot that can be done to mitigate that risk. And one of the things that mitigates it is the length of time that we've been working together. So years and years and years, in some cases 15 years. And that relationship helps mitigate against a risk of loss. And then we also do practical things, like being very careful about where the beans are stored, making sure there's security in those places where we need security for the cocoa beans in storage, making sure also that we're monitoring moisture content while the beans are being stored in case there's some kind of loss with moisture, which can happen and has happened before, things like that. The farmers that I've been working with all these years are very experienced farmers. They are not highly organized in the world of export. They weren't. They are now. So if they're figuring out how to open bank accounts and receive money from the United States in U.S. dollars, and protecting against bank fees and having an understanding of their business and thinking about, well, we really want to do this, but we don't have the capital to fund this by ourselves. Why? Because what we're used to doing is taking what we can get at Farmgate, which, by the way, is a lot less than we're paying. And so they want the opportunity to have that additional profit, but the only way they can do it is by having some access to capital.